Hey, and welcome back to the Python playlist. So in this one, we're going to go over some more input-output stuff. First thing we're going to do is just show you how to format. So if you do get a raw input, so we had raw input, I'm going to just do this by declaring a variable called age and say, please enter your age. And from there, we're just going to age is equal to float, and then age, and we are going to print age. So the reason I'm doing this is that raw input is taking uh, a variable in as a string, so um, it ends up being 20. If I put in 27 here, um, it ends up being a string. So if we were to say put this right above it, you will see that it comes out as without the decimal point. This isn't an integer. This is a string, so that's why we have to cast it. So if you do get raw input and you want to use it as a numerical value, you're gonna have to cast it a as a float or an int or whatever. I use float just so you can see it. The next thing that I wanted to do is show you how to use the password library. So, like in all applications, you may need a password if you have a user database. So for this, we're gonna have to import a library called getPass. I assume you know how to import stuff. Password equals getPass, and then we can print. Let's do show our password. Not very secure, but just so we get the point. So we can come over here, run it. You get a typical terminal password entry, so it won't show. And you can see that once you enter the password, and in a program we wouldn't point this towards an output, but we would compare it against the user database and see if it matches, etc. That is another input output sort of situation. The next thing is just simple formatting. So a lot of programs, when you write them, you don't really like when you're writing the program, you don't really expect like users to be dumb, but best to um, it's best to assume that. And it also comes down to user just error, like they accidentally hit the space bar or something, or they uh, they enter. Uh, so for this example, actually, I'll show you. So we'll use a year, and a common mistake is when somebody enters like their year of birth or something, they either put like just 2 digits or four. But um, a good practice is to just say like, okay, enter, like, you can do the formatting behind the scenes, or you can give them a prompt. So this is just one example of like, what year were you born? And then uh, you can you can check, like, so let's just say we end up giving them, we'll give them a prompt, like example 1935, and we can check to see if they've put in a year of length 4, instead of just saying like if they're born in 35 or something, they say 35. So we can check by writing uh, length dot year does not equal 4 or not year dot is digit. So this just checks to see if it is a numerical digit. And also, yeah, for the conditional statements, we're going to be using conditional statements a lot. Like I think in the last one I used a single pipe, but you can use like the keywords, so or and and then there's not. But for this, so if you've taken Java and stuff, you know that the question mark, sorry, the exclamation mark is also a not. But there are keywords like or and not. Um, it's it's like shocking to use. I know it sounds so stupid, but this like using plain English. But that's the beauty about like Python, is that there's a lot of intuitive stuff that like you've grown to understand another programming language by using like double ampersand or double pipe or all that sort of stuff. And now in Python, you don't have to worry about that. You just type what you mean. Um, but yeah, so anyways, let's get on to this. So if it's not 4 digits, then we can print that is an invalid year. And we can write else print you were born in plus year. So we will run this. Forgot to add another, oh shit. So what year were you born? So 1988. You were born in 1988, so that passed it. We'll just show the anti-pass sort of situation. So if we put in 98, invalid year. So we'll run one more time. So if you put in too many, that's an invalid year. So this is just a simple way of validating input. You're going to use this a lot when building, especially the back end. Like you just need to make sure that if you're dealing with data, you gotta validate and make sure that it's what you want, or else it's going to mess up the program, your database, and it's just going to be bad. It's not going to be uniform, and it's going to be difficult to work with. So the next thing we will do is just formatting output. It's pretty simple. Um, it's a way of like what's an example? So like when you log on to Amazon and you see like hello so and so, welcome, like welcome to Amazon so and so, like your account, blah blah blah, and they have your name or whatever. And a lot of websites do that, where they have kind of just like a placeholder. It's the same for every account, but that value changes. I'm not saying that they do it exactly this way, but what they do is they format an output. So we can have a greeting. We'll have a greeting, and we will say hello, and we're going to be using the double curly brackets. So this is where we're going to be putting in our output. So we can declare what our output is. Hey, hello, how's it going? And then we can just like, this is the base case basically, where we're saying, so hello, Bob. We'll do 2 actually. Um, Actually, I don't know what to say, so good. So we can declare name and time and have evening. And then this is where we format it. So printing it out, we can have greeting dot format, and then you just enter in what order you want it in. So we've declared the name and the time in different orders, but we're obviously going to write good evening, Bob, how's it going? So what you do is just enter in your variables by order. So save that and we will run it. And as you see, we don't have it in this greeting string, but it's being put in through these placeholders, which the curly brackets are. The next thing we can do is show that it's, how do I put it this way? It's like a associative input. So if you've used associative arrays, like you have a name here, we'll show. So let's say you have a restaurant. I'm going off of one example that I see here, a restaurant, special text. So you have good, and then for this placeholder, we're actually going to declare what it is, but it could be different. So it could be morning, it could be afternoon. Today's specials are specials are. So this is where we put in our specials. So they're going to be changing, obviously, or else they wouldn't be special, and special 2. Where the hell is that other? Okay, now that we have those placeholders, we can declare our variables. Like you can sort of see that, like, eventually these things are going to be either populated by data that's already stored or data that's being inputted. So we'll put an afternoon, special 1, special 2. Ugh. Wow, just all over the place. And then we can have steak and eggs. I know that's a morning thing. And soup and salad. But when we print it out, so this is where we're going to see the associativeness of it. So print specials dot txt underscore txt dot format. So we can have that. Oh shit. Never mind. This is what we're doing. So this is where the uh, um, associative placeholders are. So food 1, food 2. So you could list like a ton of food, and it's going to change, like in over, like if it was morning, the food might be like breakfast related, dinner related, whatever time it is, and you could have like a list of food, and you have your specials that obviously change, so you can change your specials as they go. But here we're gonna have time equals time, because there's usually not much change in that variable. And then special 1, our placeholder, we can equal as food 1. So it doesn't have to be special 1. We can link it back to that data. and then special 2. Ugh. Food 2. So we'll try this out. I hope that wasn't too all over the place, but what did I do here? Print specials.text. Good afternoon. Today's specials are steak and eggs and soup and salad. So this, all it showed was that we ended up uh, um, associating one with another. So we were able to sort of change it over. I'm going to quickly pause that video. Actually, I'll just do, I know this is going to be a long one, but it's best that we just get rid of input and output. So we will go over ways that we can also format, like, okay, let's do this. Cities, you can format like cities by index. So if you have a list of Canadian cities are, and then so here we can have basically an index of what we're entering. So 0, 1, 2. And then when we print cities format, we can end up placing in here Toronto, Montreal, Vancouver. So we've just shown a bunch of, like, it's just an order, same as the other place, but it's a way that you can kind of keep track of your inputs as you're putting them in numerically. I'm just kind of going at this point, uh, showing you how to um, uh, just use all the different kinds of input formatting, or sorry, output formatting, and that way uh, we're able to um, sorry, I'm wow. Uh, we're able to sort of understand how this works. So I'm just thinking about this. This is more along the lines too, is if you know like how many integers that we're going to have, or how many inputs we're going to have. So that's just a way of keeping them in order, and you can sort of give them keys. But yeah, I'll end it there. I know I got a little weird at the end there. I was kind of double checking that I wasn't misleading you on these output formats, but I think that's good for input and output. We'll move on to something next. Let me see here. Maybe like lists, like arrays, lists, that sort of stuff. But thanks for watching, and hope to see you in the next video.